Hey, you guys, welcome back to the YTP Mini. I'm Jess.
And I'm BJ.
And what are we talking about today, Beach?
What are we going to talk about?
Well, I think it's really timely to talk about change, the anatomy of change coming up. So this is the day after Christmas, the 26th. We're going to launch this puppy out into the world today. And next week at this very time is going to be January 1st. Is it January 1st or yesterday, January 1st? I don't know. I don't have a calendar.
It'll be January 2nd today.
It will be.
Yes.
Okay. So it'll be January 2nd, which people, are setting resolutions. They're going to change. And on our last podcast, Mel Urey had asked us what our goals are for the year. And one of my goals was to incorporate a longer meditation. And this morning we got up and what a perfect time to do this. I don't have to wait until January 1st. I can start pre-paving and creating more momentum towards incorporating that longer meditation every week. So today we did an hour and that felt really good. And it's not that much more than what I normally do, 45 minutes, but it's going along with this goal or resolution that I decided to pursue for 2020 and hopefully for the rest of my life. Well, not hopefully, but for the rest of my life, to do this longer meditation, because this is really where the strongest pull of my life is taking me, and everything comes from there. I talk a lot about, manifestation, especially in M21 with my partner Golden. We talk a lot about that we have this right to live our dream life. We have the right to live what's put on our heart. But I feel like through meditation, what happens is I'm attuning to these higher frequencies so that I really don't need to spend time manifesting. I will have a thought about something that I would like to have or that I quote unquote need, and it literally runs to me. I've been thinking the last couple of weeks I'd really like a tank top that's a little bit more form-fitting, and my mom gave me one yesterday. And there was something else that we got that I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting this. I can't remember, but we needed a candle and our candle just burned out. My mom sent us a candle. And so it's when we attune to that energy of everything, things just run to us. But there's steps we need to take prior to attuning to the energy of everything. That was a little bit of a riff. Where have I left you?
I don't know. I'm just letting you riff. I've known from experience to not interrupt the process as it just flows from your mouth. But what I was going to interrupt and say, you're receiving things also because you pick a lot of things up. So you randomly picked up that
a flower crown. That was
the flower crown.
I've been wanting a flower
Right.
crown for years.
And we found one at Run Group just sitting on the fence post.
But not from this desperate desire of I have to buy a flower crown.
No, it just showed up.
I was kind of I could rock a flower crown, and I got one yesterday. So things like that happen. And it was funny because I put it on and then I put it back on the fence, and something was telling me this is yours, take it. And then I had this conflicting thought of oh, am I stealing? And then I'm no, don't go to the mind, go to the heart. And I was yeah, this flower crown is meant for me.
There was something else though on the street or on the sidewalk.
A ring that I found a couple months ago.
No, yeah, but there was something yesterday or at Run Group.
Oh, it was a hat.
That's right.
But I didn't take the hat. It
was what are you going to collect a whole wardrobe here walking down the streets of Carlsbad?
I know. That hat was for somebody else. Okay, so let me get back to the anatomy of change, and then, BJ, I'm going to let you riff. So the mind, you guys, I've got my journal open here, and I've got this sentence that I want to share with you. The mind is hypnotized by the world. Because the world is so exciting and dramatic and dark and light and good and evil. And it's very entertaining for the mind. And the mind gets really hypnotized by the world. And then our belief systems get hypnotized by our social programming. And so really, when we want to change, we're up against this hypnotism. But I really want to simplify what it takes to change. There's 3 steps. So here's the 3-step process. Are you ready?
I'm all ears.
1, identify what you want to change. Complicated?
Not yet.
Okay. 2, watch the mind. So you want to watch the mind for thoughts that will indulge feelings and creation of the direction of where you don't want to go. Because whatever it is that you've identified that you want to change is in your life because you've practiced thoughts and then created beliefs about them, and now they're a part of who you are. And you don't like that anymore. You want to change it.
And it's become a habit, and habits are no thought. They're things that just happen automatically. So this is why you want to notice it.
Yeah. So you got to watch the mind like a hawk for those thoughts that are going to further take you down that path to the neighborhood that you don't want to live in anymore. And then 3, ready? Here's the final step in sustainable change. Consciously change by choosing differently in the moment. 1, identify what you want to change. 2, watch the mind for thoughts that are not putting you in the direction of change. And then 3, when you find yourself in those thoughts that's putting you in the direction of away from the change you want to make, you got to consciously choose differently.
So can you start in this process just by focusing on step 1?
Yes.
Like you don't have to go 1, 2, 3. You can just start today by step 1, noticing.
Yeah, notice what you want to change. And then, you could just stay in step 1 for a little while, like create a stronger desire for what you want to change. I think that's what's hanging out in step 1 would do. But I have an asterisk here that is next to 1, 2, and 3. And the asterisk says thoughts get in the way. So the only reason why this 3-step process won't work is because the conditioned thought patterns get in the way and we buy into them time and time again. That's the only reason why change is not going to occur. This is why you got to watch the mind so closely. So for somebody that wants to make a change like Beach, how would you suggest do they dive into like the details of it?
Get away from the specifics. Remove yourself from the very specific stuff, because the very specific goals or activities are exactly what have gotten you into this spot. They've gotten you into this hole that you're trying to dig yourself out of. So get away from specific and go more general. So
give us an example of, let's use an athlete example. Give us an example of how they would do this general.
Sure. So someone who had this thought, I want to run my best 5K. In order to run my best 5K, I need to hit 7-minute pace. Okay, that's what they're coming to us with. What I would say is let's start with just getting on the other side of the door for your daily run. Let's just start running. And pretend that they're coming back into running. Okay, because this is most cases. They're coming to us because they want to get more healthy, more fit. They want to get back into running, but they've got this attachment to something that's happened in the past where they've had a fast time and now they want to do it again. But they've somehow, to your point, lost the noticing of what they want to change. They can't notice it. They say it, but they don't actually get into the space where that decision can be made. And so they're getting very specific. How am I going to hit 7-minute miles? Let's not get too fast. So how am I going to get 7-minute miles? And if they don't come to a coach, they're probably thinking, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go run as long as I can for 7 minutes. Like 7-minute miles. I'm going to try and hit them.
So you're just going to go right to try
right to specific.
Conquering the fine details of the goal.
Right. So let's get away from the 7-minute mile, having trust that you will get there. And let's focus on what's the habit we need to create. We need to create the habit to run consistently, right? And why do you want to run consistently? Well, there's plenty of reasons. You want to build that strong base. You want to stay injury-free. And you want to build the habit of getting yourself out the door. Whether it's a slow run, a fast run, a hilly run, a walk, it doesn't matter. It's getting on the other side of the door. So in this example, going from specific, which is 7-minute pace for a 5K, let's just start running every day. Let's just start moving. Let's even start moving the body every day.
Feeling better.
Feeling better. So to your point, attach getting on the other side of the door with, I'm interrupting the process of not moving myself towards that 7-minute 5K goal. Let's get outside the house, because I've been stuck in the house and thinking about lacing up my shoes and trying to find the right watch and the right running shorts.
And just really actually just feeling bad about myself all along the way.
Because they're too specific. How am I ever going to get to that 7-minute pace? When all you really need to do in this moment is think general and get on the other side of the front door and get out on the streets, walk, jog, run, whatever it is, and even just 10 minutes.
What's coming up for me is, gosh, so much in 2016, 2017, 2018, and even 2019 as we are now on the verge of real big expansion. I feel deeply in my heart with our endeavors here in this world, is we would always say, what's the next logical step? What's the next logical step? Okay, the bank account's in the negative. That's the problem. The solution is not going to be found there. Like, my feeling good thought is not going to be found when I'm on the couch saying, how am I ever going to get to 7-minute miles? We would always come back to, what's the next logical step? And sometimes the next logical step was like, get out and take the dog for a walk, right? Like, just what's the next logical step? Knowing what the big goal is, but not getting caught up in all the things that you can't do right now. What's the next logical step in getting you closer to that, which I guess would be the creation of momentum.
Aligning yourself with the vibration of moving the body faster. You're aligning with it, right?
Right. So going from the couch to walking around the neighborhood is moving the body faster.
Exactly.
So
we're the ones who put the judgment on it, like it's not fast enough.
Right. So it's like you take this zoomed out view, this general specifics, that's one of my favorite terms, the general specific viewpoint, but it's also being in that present moment and saying, what's the next logical step? So having the zoomed out view of what the goal is and understanding there's a pathway between where you are now and where that 7-minute mile is. But that pathway is where all the good stuff is.
And it's the good stuff personal to you, right?
Right.
It's your own personal journey. It could take you 6 months. It could take you 6 years. Whatever that journey is, we're the ones who put this suffering on ourselves and say that we need to hit this by a specific time.
100%.
We know that so well. So it's that specific journey to you, whatever that is, whether it's you walk for 2 years like Tommy Rivers did, or you just start running and naturally your body gravitates to running and you start doing it every day.
And then the 3 steps, right? Identify what you want to change. I want to change my sedentary habits and I want to run a 5K fast. I want to run a 5K at 7-minute miles. Great. Now I'm going to watch the mind as I create momentum. You can't just watch the mind and sit on the couch and think that a 7-minute mile is going to knock on your door. It's not. You're not there yet. It's not running to you yet. So it's watching the mind closely for those thoughts of how am I ever going to run a 7-minute mile? Not helpful, doesn't put you in the direction of where you want to go. That's when you recalibrate. You do step 3, consciously choose in a different direction. You say, well, what can I do now? I'm going to put my shoes on and I'm going to get up and walk in the face of this resistance or this face of like lack and fear that I'm never going to be able to get where I want to get, which is all just dramatic noise of the mind that's hypnotized by what other people are doing and what their results are, and not looking into the fact that if so-and-so can run a 7-minute mile, well, so can you. You can do anything. You could run a 6:50, you could run a 6:30, you could run whatever it is that is in your heart, that your heart says you can do. So it's generalizing it, watching closely in the moment, and choosing in the moment. And don't let those thoughts get in the way. And I remember Meditator Bob saying to us so many times, he would leave us like with, let nothing stand in your way. And really what I believe he was talking about are the thoughts.
Absolutely. It's hanging on to that belief system of who you believe you are based on all the choices that you've made time and time and time again. So this is your opportunity to choose differently.
Right.
And maybe that's a walk. Maybe that's parking your car at the furthest parking spot at the grocery store and walking a little bit further to do your list. That's one thing we love to do. Or going to a yoga class. Like you don't run this day, right? Whatever it is, choose. Really simply, you could just take this thing and just go the opposite of what you normally choose.
Yeah, opposite George.
What was he called?
On Seinfeld.
Yeah, but it was
Bizarro.
Bizarro. Or not, was it Bizarro?
No, Bizarro was my old boyfriend.
I know he was
BJ.
your old boyfriend.
We call him Bizarro BJ. Not the BJ that's on the microphone.
wasn't
There
opposite
was
George.
actually another BJ right before BJ, but we call him Bizarro BJ so we know who we're talking about.
But yeah, just choose differently. You chose the same name, just different personalities.
Right. Exactly. Oh gosh, I was just
How
going
do
to
we
say
get on that
something.
tangent?
Because opposite George, it really is. There's a lot of wisdom in Seinfeld for sure. And George Costanza exemplifies the noise of the mind.
He's just vocalizing. He's that crazy person you see when you drive sometimes on the side of the street and they're talking to themselves. They're actually talking about their thoughts.
Right.
George is doing that nonstop.
Right.
He's such a great example. Such a great example.
Yeah. And Eckhart Tolle says the only difference between the person on the corner that's, yelling and swearing and screaming and saying all these crazy things is that they're verbalizing it and you're not. So identify what you want to change. Watch the mind like a freaking hawk. This is a 24/7 job. Watching the mind is just as important as meditating. And then 3, when you find yourself going down that road that you don't want to go down anymore because you've identified in step 1 that you want to change it, choose differently.
And I'll leave you guys with this. Are you satisfied with what is or eager for more?